6:15. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dilini Gunawardena, assisted by Sanjay, and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. President Wickremesinghe facilitates open dialogue with opposition on IMF proposals. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says the first ever service minute will be introduced for the Sri Lanka Transport Board. A delegation from the Indian renewable energy companies meets the Minister of Power and Energy. The Sri Lankan Airlines is given 6 months to show progress. Minister of Finance grants approval for 4,500 multi-task development officers to enhance elephant conservation efforts. Foreign news. Ramadan begins in Gaza under Israeli siege and attacks. And in sports, it's women's cricket. Sri Lanka women's under-19 team is to play a tri-nation series involving Australia and England. In a proactive move towards transparency and collaboration, President Ranil Wickremesinghe convened a crucial party leaders meeting at the Presidential Secretariat today to deliberate on the IMF proposals. The meeting saw the active participation of various stakeholders, including TNA parliamentarian Mr. M.A. Sumandiran, underscoring the government's commitment to inclusive decision-making. Notably, Mr. Sumandiran raised pertinent concerns regarding the lack of published technical assistance reports of the IMF, which is an analysis as to why certain recommendations are made, which is a necessity for the publication of analytical data to inform parliamentary deliberations. President Wickremesinghe, acknowledging the importance of transparency, assured that the government would release the data to the TNA and Parliament, facilitating informed debate and decision-making. Furthermore, Central Bank Governor highlighted the government's efforts in adhering to the recommendations outlined in the Governor's diagnostic report, emphasizing the commitment to a structured roadmap for implementation. President Wickremesinghe affirmed the government's willingness to make these technical assistance reports available to the members of Parliament and invited Mr. Sumandiran and other opposition members to attend a meeting and engage with the IMF to further discuss the proposals. In response, Mr. Sumandiran expressed his readiness to participate constructively in the dialogue, pledging support for constructive measures, which highlights areas that warrant attention and rectification. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena says that a service minute will be introduced to the Sri Lanka Transport Board for the first time after 66 years. He made these remarks recently at the Nawalpitiya depot of the Sri Lanka Transport Board. MP Mahindananda Alutgamage also joined the minister on this occasion. The employee said that the number of buses to be deployed for long-distance service and transportation of school children is insufficient. Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that since the Sri Lanka Transport Board made a profit last year, it is possible to buy about 70 new buses in the future. 3 new buses for long-distance services and 3 engines for the school buses will be provided. Also, for the first time after 66 years, a service minute will be introduced for the SLTB. He also said, consequently, the era in which the previous officials were kicked out when government changed will come to an end. The minister further said that he hopes to resolve the prevailing issues within a month and find a solution for the shortage of employees, adding that a health insurance system for the employees will also be introduced. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
At People's Bank, we empower your pride. People's Bank, pride of the nation.
A delegation from the Indian renewable energy companies affiliated to the Confederation of Indian Industry visited the Minister of Power and Energy this morning. The delegation is in Sri Lanka for a 3-day visit organized by the Minister of New and Renewable Energy of the Government of India and CII, that is Confederation of Indian Industry, on energizing India-Sri Lanka ties to cooperation in renewable energy. Renewable energy policy and plans for Sri Lanka, ongoing projects, electricity sector reforms, investment opportunities, legal framework, offshore wind development, green hydrogen roadmap and interconnectivity was briefed and discussed at the meeting. Minister Nimal Siripala De Silva has issued a directive during a special discussion held at the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Aviation, stressing that Sri Lankan Airlines must demonstrate operational and financial progress within the next 6 months. In line with the President's proposal, the government has committed to relieving a portion of the national carrier's debt totaling $510 million out of $1.2 billion owed to various banks and institutions. With a solid financial footing anticipated, the airline has outlined plans for a comprehensive restructuring process within the stipulated time frame of 6 months. Minister Silva emphasized the imperative need to curtail unnecessary expenses and instill robust financial discipline to achieve this objective within a company. He urged close collaboration between management and trade unions to accomplish these goals effectively. Minister of Wildlife and Forest Resource Conservation and Irrigation Pavitra Devi Wanyarachi revealed that the Minister of Finance has granted approval to deploy 4,500 multitask development officers to aid elephant fence conservation efforts within the Ministry of Wildlife. The minister also stated that the demarcation of forest boundaries, which is part of the project aimed at increasing the country's forest coverage to 32% of the total land area, is anticipated to be finalized this year. Minister Wanyarachi made these remarks during the participation in the news conference held at the Presidential Media Centre today, focusing on the theme Collective Path to a Stable Country. And that ends local news for now.
Right decisions with noble intentions bring pride to you and the nation. At People's Bank, we empower your pride. People's Bank, pride of the nation.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Ambassador of Sri Lanka in Washington, D.C., Mahinda Samarasinghe, hosted a dialogue between the State Minister of Technology, Kanaka Herath, and members of the Sri Lankan community from the field of information technology, entrepreneurs and professionals who are residing in United States. The meeting was held recently with the objective of encouraging investments in the IT-based industries in Sri Lanka by sharing the vision and progress towards developing the digital economy of Sri Lanka. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
In Watchlight this evening, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board have requested the public to use water sparingly in light of the prevailing arid weather conditions. Deputy General Manager of the board, Anoja Kaluarachi, explained that in the event of current extreme weather continues for the next 2 months, it's likely that water will have to be supplied on shift basis. However, she assured that sufficient water levels are currently available and explained that the NWSDB is merely requesting the public to use water sparingly as a precautionary measure, stating no restrictions or limitation of water supply has been implemented in any area thus far. She urged for consumers to call the 24-hour NWSDB hotline 1919 in the event such issues are experienced. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines first. Ramadan begins in Gaza under Israeli siege and attacks. Japan avoids technical recession as economic growth figures revised. LATAM Airlines 12 treated in New Zealand after mid-air technical issue. The UNRWA said hunger is everywhere in Gaza as Ramadan begins and reiterates call for an immediate ceasefire during the holy month. Local media reported Israeli forces prevented hundreds of Palestinians from entering Al-Aqsa Mosque in occupied East Jerusalem on the eve of Ramadan. Meanwhile, the head of Hamas political bureau, Ismail Haniyeh, blamed Israel for failing to reach a ceasefire deal before Ramadan. Meanwhile, as Gaza continues to be hit by intense Israeli bombardments, life-saving treatment for those with chronic kidney disease is under threat, with most hospitals in the besieged enclave out of service due to shortage of medicine, staff and supplies. Japan has avoided falling into a technical recession after its official economic growth figures were revised. The revised data shows the gross domestic product was 0.4% higher in the last 3 months of 2023 compared to a year earlier. Provisional figures released last month indicated the second consecutive quarter of economic contraction. 2 quarters in a row of an economic shrinking is typically considered the definition of a technical recession. Several people on a LATAM airline flight were injured today after a technical event caused a strong movement. The airline said 7 passengers and 3 crew members were taken to hospital after landing in Auckland, adding that their injuries were not serious. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner was travelling from Sydney to Auckland when the incident happened on Monday. Details about the technical event or what caused it are still not known. Emergency response teams have been deployed to the airport. They said they had assessed and treated approximately 50 patients so far. And back to the headlines of the world news. Ramadan begins in Gaza on the Israeli siege and attacks. Japan avoids technical recession as economic growth figures revised. And Latam Airlines, 12 treated in New Zealand after mid-year technical issue. And that ends world news.
Development news.
Minister Kanchan Wijesekara stated a new ground-mounted solar project was opened in Batticaloa on Sunday morning, and in a post on X, the minister revealed that the 2-megawatt solar project had been successfully constructed and commissioned by Back Bay Solar Private Limited, and Back Bay Solar is managed by Sinhala Powergen, with approximately 50 megawatt of projects completed or undergoing development. The ground-mounted solar plant was a part of a 90 megawatt Ceylon Electricity Board solar power tendering process, and that was development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Sri Lanka, Australia and England women's under-19 will play a Tri-Nation series involving both T20 and 50-over games during the months of March and April 2024. Each team will play 4 T20 games and 2 50-over games during the contest. The winner of the contest will be decided based on the accumulated points based on match wins, while the focus of the series is to provide vital match exposure for under-19 women cricketers. And that was sports news.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Ceylon Credit Cards and Haley's Solar announced the extension of their successful partnership. The extended collaboration aims to provide customers with easy payment plans and purchasing solar power units from Haley's Solar, one of Sri Lanka's largest solar providers, using Ceylon Credit Cards. The easy payment plans, available at 0% interest, now offers unmatched flexible installment options, allowing customers to convert payments of up to 3 million rupees into a manageable plan. Consumers can enjoy an array of potential monthly savings based on the chosen system capacity. And that was business news.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account. NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. Luxala will divert to the food and beverage sector for the first time with the opening of its latest showroom, Lux Alla, which is located near the world-renowned Nine Arch Bridge and also the Alla railway station. Luxala chairman Rashik Marambage said the business operations of Lux Alla will commence from July this year. According to Luxala chairman, the ground floor of the building will be used as a showroom, while the second and third floors are used as a restaurant and a terrace for the benefits of visitors. This is the first time Luxala moved into this catering segment, and that was economic news.
Weather report.
Now on to the weather report. Showers or thundershowers may occur at a few places in the Ratnapura, Kaltara, and Madra districts in the evening or night. Mainly dry weather will prevail in the other areas of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western Sabragama Uva provinces and in the Gaul and Madra districts during the morning. Well, that was the weather report. And prior to concluding this news broadcast, the weather headlines once again. President Vikram Singha facilitates open dialogues with the opposition on IMF proposals. Minister Dr. Bandulu Gunawardena says the first ever service minute will be introduced for the Sri Lanka Transport Board. A delegation from the Indian renewable energy companies meets the Minister of Power and Energy. The Sri Lankan Airlines is given 6 months to show progress. Minister of Finance grants approval for 4,500 multi-tasks development officers to enhance elephant conservation efforts. Foreign news, Ramadan begins in Gaza under Israeli siege and attacks. And in sports is women's cricket. Sri Lanka women's under-19 team is to play a Tri-Nation series involving Australia and England. Well, with that we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, and it's over to Marila Vandot on the other side to continue with the rest of the programs this Monday evening. Over to you, Marila.